Is the Middle East, particularly the UAE, still the high-paying employment hotspot it once was for foreign professionals? Having spent almost 9 years in the Middle East, including over 2.5 years in the UAE, I have witnessed firsthand the reasons why so many expatriates flock to this region. People from the subcontinent, Southeast Asia, rest of the Arab world, and of course people from the Western countries, all move to the Middle East for the promise of tax-free salaries, sunny weather, cosmopolitan, which sometimes mean luxury lifestyle, and the chance to save quickly while living in a modern, business-friendly environment. The Middle East has been undeniably the big draw for professionals seeking to secure a better future and to do that quickly. However, comparing today to about 20 or even 10 years ago, I've noticed a shift in the region's employment landscape. Those on the ground that I'm still in contact with can confirm this. The challenges now facing expats weren't as prevalent as they were in the past, and many are starting to question if the Middle East in general, or UAE in particular, once known for its wealth-building opportunities, is still the golden destination it once was. In today's video, my friends, we'll explore the shifting dynamics of living and working in the Middle East and why the dream destination for many is perhaps no longer the same. If you are considering relocating, or if you're already living there, this is a video you need to watch till the end. I invite you to engage with us in the comments and share your experiences. For years, the UAE, especially Dubai and Abu Dhabi, was known as a land of opportunity for expatriates, offering high salaries and attractive job perks such as visas for the family, relocation expenses, housing allowances, car allowances, school allowances, and even return flights for the family every year. Many people moved there for a chance to earn big while paying absolutely zero personal income tax. However, the job market, which was once booming with high-paying opportunities, is now facing a major shift and has been for the past few years. For people from different parts of the world, the challenges are slightly different. So now, for example, for people from the subcontinent, Southeast of Asia, and the rest of the less developed Arab world, are facing a problem which is partly brought on by themselves. Due to the challenging job market scenario in their home countries, many are undercutting their own country folk by accepting offers to work for lower salaries, thereby driving the entire market down. Whereas for expatriates from the Western world, where the color of their passport was once the golden ticket to lucrative offers, the challenge is slightly different. There are now fewer long-term positions in the market on offer, and many positions are now being offered on a 1-year rolling contract. There are obvious additional costs, as you may imagine, which is associated with short-term rentals of homes as well as cars, and we'll come back to this a little later. The more important concern, my friends, for Western expatriates is the element of the uncertainty of contracts not being renewed and the potential long gaps between finding suitable successive employment assignments. One possible reason for this could be that the Middle East is no longer viewed or considered as a hardship destination where people need to be coerced into going. Even places like Saudi Arabia are painting a more liberal and welcoming image compared to decades ago. With a great standard of living, relative freedom, and a good standard of safety and security, more and more people are moving there out of choice. So the employers are now holding back some of the perks that were offered previously. For example, these days, it's not unusual for employers to provide one consolidated salary, which includes holiday pay, housing, as well as schooling allowances. It's not unusual even for highly experienced people with marketable skills and an extensive network to spend months finding a role that suits their experience and qualifications. Consequently, it is totally plausible that people's salary can reduce with each change in contract. Also, don't forget the fact that the regular work week in the UAE and most of the Middle East is 45 to 48 hours, compared to about 37 to 40 hours in the UK. 6-day weeks are not uncommon in many sectors. Now, let me tell you the story of a close friend of mine who has just got an opportunity to go back to the Middle East to work. While the salaries are still higher compared to the UK, the salaries do not include any of the perks that I've mentioned previously. Now, I left the Middle East in 2016, and it appears that salaries have hardly grown in line with inflation in the past 8 years. Not even as much as it has grown in the UK, where raises are typically quite low due to the usually low levels of inflation. Now my friend has had to make a choice to leave his family behind, as he will not be able to afford the school fees for an equivalent British curriculum school there in the Middle East for his 2 children. Also, he has preferred a short-term contract, so the 1-year contract doesn't really bother him too much. But it may not suit people who intend to go to the Middle East for a longer term. Now, it's not the situation just for my friend. I've heard from many expatriates especially skilled professionals, that they are finding it harder to secure long-term, stable roles at salaries that are commensurate with what were on offer about 10 or 15 years ago. Now, companies are either reducing their headcounts or freezing salary increases to maintain the headcounts. Sources from reputed recruitment firms in the UAE have said that businesses are increasingly becoming more cost-conscious, and some firms are even offering lower salaries than candidates' previous pay, with the lure of zero personal taxes being the only main draw. White-collar recession, as it is called, has been going on for a while now, at least since 2017, if reports are to be believed, and many economists agree that the economy is undergoing a correction as it is maturing. Now, why is this shift happening, my friends? The UAE's once booming economy, and the Middle East in general, is driven largely by oil and natural gas, and it has slowed down due to the prices of these commodities, political tensions, and economic reforms. This has further led to a slump in real estate, as well as put a squeeze on salaries, making the dream of fast wealth accumulation in the region harder to reach. Now, in case of the UAE, despite the recovery of the global oil prices in 2018, the economic growth has remained moderate. And this is explained by many analyses, especially one from the Economist Intelligence Unit at London. Now, it's not only due to the OPEC mandated oil cuts, but also because of geopolitical factors such as the diplomatic fallout with Qatar and the US imposed sanctions on Iran that have affected businesses, especially in Dubai and Abu Dhabi. Finally, my friends, despite companies paying much lower starting salaries, the lure for working in the Middle East is still growing, with thousands of CVs reportedly being received for certain positions. Now, this is not the first time that the UAE's economy has faced this situation. In 2008 and 2009, Dubai was among the high-profile victims of the global financial crisis. The previously booming market went bust, seemingly overnight, before rebuilding and correcting. In response to this latest economic softening, the government has, of course, unveiled a number of stimulus measures, including opening up of businesses to 100% foreign ownership, more flexible visa regime, which has introduced the golden visa, and cuts to business registration fees and other administrative costs. While all these steps should make it a more attractive place to do business and help companies maintain or probably even expand their headcount, the reality is that the job market still remains incredibly competitive. The other main aspect that we need to talk about is the cost of living, and this is where it gets slightly tricky. If you are moving to the Middle East to save money, be prepared for a bit of a shock. Sure, the promise of tax-free salaries is enticing, but those savings can quickly disappear when you're faced with soaring living costs. Now, renting in a place like Dubai can cost anywhere between dirhams 6,000 to dirhams 8,000 per month for a modest one-bedroom apartment in the city. Now, if you have family, the costs increase proportionately. The other thing to bear in mind is the cost of schooling can be quite significant. While it is still lower and probably more affordable for Indian, Pakistani, and other Arab schools, it can be very dear for schools that teach the Western curriculum. International school fees can range from UAE dirhams 35,000 to about UAE dirhams 120,000 per year, depending on the grade and the type of school. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. Now, we also have to factor in everyday expenses like food, leisure, and transportation. And these have all risen, particularly after the introduction of the 5% VAT in 2018, which was intended to plug revenue gaps from lower oil prices. Now, all of these costs are cumulatively making it increasingly difficult for expatriates to maintain a lavish lifestyle that they envisioned. The reality is that many expatriates have found that they're actually saving less than they expected compared to when they first moved to the Middle East. Healthcare, as you all know, is another major consideration. While the UAE has world-class healthcare facilities, the cost of healthcare comes at a price. Most expatriates are required to have private health insurance. For a family, the health insurance premiums can range anywhere between 15,000 dirhams to 50,000 dirhams, depending on the range of cover you choose. Now, without a comprehensive coverage, you might find yourself paying a hefty sum for treatments should you encounter an unexpected medical situation. And also, let's not forget, the Middle East doesn't have any social security systems, at least not for expats. This means that once you retire, you're on your own. There's no safety net to rely on, so you'll need to have your finances in place if you want to avoid a challenging future. Most Middle Eastern countries will not even let you live in those countries after the age of 60, unless you have invested significantly into the country's economy, which usually is through purchase of real estate. One other factor that many expatriates overlook before moving is the glass ceiling that exists for foreigners. The UAE, like many other countries in the region, enforces nationalization policies that limit career advancement for expatriates. For example, in these countries, in certain roles, you could be a specialist or an advisor in certain sectors if you're fairly senior. but you can never be the head of the discipline, as these roles are typically reserved for nationals. In many sectors, especially in government roles, certain positions are reserved exclusively for UAE or GCC nationals. And getting UAE citizenship, or for that matter, any other Middle Eastern citizenship, is out of question. It's almost impossible for expatriates, no matter how long you've lived and worked in the country and how much you've contributed to the economy. Now, without citizenship, you're stuck with limited rights, no long-term security, and a constant uncertainty about your future in the region. The dream of becoming a permanent resident or a local remains just that, a dream. Now, let's talk about another aspect which is often not spoken much about, because the year-long sunshine is a major draw that draws many expats, especially from colder countries, into the Middle East. But it can quickly lose its charm when faced with 50 degrees centigrade summers. The Middle East's harsh climate, characterized by extreme heat and humidity, poses challenges to daily life. Outdoor activities are limited for certain months of the year, and air-conditioned lifestyles become the norm. Now, adding to this, urban areas such as Dubai and Abu Dhabi grapple with air pollution issues, as you might have seen in the news, and massive traffic congestion problems which affect overall health and quality of life. Having said all this, my friends, the Middle East is still an incredible place to live and work for some, but the days of quick wealth and easy career growth are fading. I still have friends who've lived in the region for over a decade, and many admit that they are earning less in real terms now than when they first arrived. The days of the roads paved with gold in the UAE seem to be over. Salary stagnation, skyrocketing living costs, limited career growth, and a lack of social security system are just some of the challenges that expatriates face today, which perhaps they did not mind previously because of the sky-high salaries. I have friends in diverse fields such as banking, human resources, engineering, as well as digital marketing in the Middle East, and the narrative is quite similar across all of these specialisms. So if you're planning to move to the Middle East, it is vital to have realistic expectations. Do your research, plan your finances, and understand that the opportunities of today are not what they were 10 or maybe even 20 years ago. Ask yourself, is the dream still worth it, or are you chasing a mirage? If you found this video helpful or eye-opening, don't forget to hit the like button, share it with your friends and family, and subscribe to our channel for more insights into the expat experience worldwide. Also, my friends, do let us know in the comments, have you experienced any of these challenges in the Middle East? Or also, how do you see the future of expatriates in the region developing as years go by? Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more content on life as a global Desi. See you in the next video.